Hi everyone, it's Tracy from stepbysteppainting.net, and I'm going to show you how to paint these whimsical ornaments. This is an 11-inch by 14-inch canvas with acrylic paints, and then of course all the materials and colors and brushes I'm using is listed in the description. I'm going to start out with the background, and I'm going to use a 1-inch oval wash, 3 colors: titanium white, gold, and raw sienna. The other colors are going to pop up on your screen, so if you want to know what all the colors are, you can press pause here in just a second. And then if you don't have this 1-inch oval wash, just use any large brush that you have. This brush I dipped in the water first. It holds a lot of water, so I wanted to make sure it was pretty dry. So I'm going to grab the titanium white and I'm going to start in the middle. So this background is lightest in the middle, and it gradually gets darker on the tops and bottoms and a little bit on the side, but it doesn't get too dark. It's a light golden background. So I'm flip-flopping my brush. I grab the gold and I'm going to let that gold blend in with that white. So the way I'm moving my brush, I'm flip-flopping. I'm making like X strokes and I'm blending the colors on the canvas. And then I want to try not to see my strokes. So the oval wash kind of helps with this because the bristles are curved at the top. It works the same, similar with the straighter brush. With the flat brush, you can do the same kind of technique. But you want to kind of just lightly blend your strokes out, so you don't want to see any harsh stroke lines. So I'm blending that gold in with the white, and it's slightly getting darker towards the top and bottom. And then I'm going to grab a little bit of white here. This background is very expressive. I did it 3 times, and all 3 times it ended up looking different. So there's not really a specific, you have to put gold here, you have to put raw sienna here. It's kind of, you're just grabbing the colors and letting them blend. Ultimately, we want it to look brighter in the middle and a little darker on the top and bottom. We want to try to smooth out our brush strokes. There's not any harsh lines showing. But other than that, it's kind of just expressive. So I'm grabbing the raw sienna right there, and it's obviously a little darker than that gold. So I'm going to kind of blend it in as much as I can. And then in a little bit, I'm going to grab some white, and the white will help with the blending a little bit better. So flip-flop that brush. See how that raw sienna blends in with the gold and white that's already on the canvas. This is all wet on wet blending. So I'm going to grab the white, and that white is going to help that raw sienna blend in a little bit more. And then again, I grabbed more of the raw sienna, and I'm grabbing some white as well with it. So my brush has all 3 of those colors on there right now. And I'm loading my palette back with some more gold. So I'm going to grab the gold. One thing to note with this gold is the more that you blend gold in with the colors you're using, the less metallic sheen will be showing, because the other colors will be covering up the metallic. So we'll still get the color gold, but that sheen may go away. In the end, you could always just add a few strokes of gold here and there after you're done blending the entire background if you really want that gold to show. Another thing that you can do is not do any raw sienna. You can just do gold and white and blend it that way. So it's up to you. I kind of like the look of the raw sienna, but if you want to simplify things, you can just do gold and white and just blend the gold and white on the canvas, and you'll still have a pretty background for your ornaments. So I'm working kind of fast here to get these colors to blend. Of course, the video is speeding up just a bit here. And as I'm working, I'm still loading my palette with the same colors. And still letting the darker areas be on the top, bottom, and kind of on the sides, with the brightest in the middle. And then I'm going to put some more white in there, do some white strokes all around, and that's going to really help everything just kind of blend together. And I'm not going to really smooth out these strokes. I kind of like how it looks. I kind of like the texture here. The sloppy sort of scribble expressive texture. So there's really no way to mess this background up. I mean, it's not going to be the focus of the painting. It's just going to be the base background layer of where your ornaments are going to be in the foreground. Okay. So to add some more of that gold, I'm just going to do just the gold now. I gotta rinse my brush off all the way so I have a lot of that color off. And I'm just going to kind of lightly brush on some gold. I guess you can kind of call this dry brushing the gold on, even though my brush wasn't really that dry. So, but this just makes it so a lot of the gold is still going to kind of glisten in the background. And then my background is complete. It's going to fast forward just a bit to the part where it dries, but you want this to dry completely before moving on to the next step. And the next step is to paint these branches. This is the color Burnt Umber. It's a very dark brown color, and I'm going to switch to a number 4 round brush. So it's important to know that if I say number 4, if you don't have a number 4, if you have a number 5 or a number 3, that it's fine. The numbers are very similar. The larger the number, the larger the brush, smaller, vice versa. So I'm going to paint a branch. Okay, so, and I also watered down that brown just a little bit to get that brown to flow. And then I'm going to make another branch on the bottom, and this one's not going to be as long as the other one. So the top one went almost all the way across, and this one went sort of about halfway. If you wanted to, you can draw them with chalk first and then paint them. I'm just painting another layer here. That brown line isn't going to show up too much in the end because we're going to be painting a lot of pine needles here. So I'm going to rinse my brush off. And I'm going to switch to an angle brush. This is a 1/4 inch angle brush. And I have the colors dark green permanent, light green permanent, and titanium white. I'm going to start with the color dark green permanent. And this is an angle brush. Okay. And my angle, the top part of the angle is pointing to the left. And I'm going to paint left to right. So you want the top part of the angle to be opposite of the direction that you're painting in. So you're going to press kind of firm and drag each of the pine needles. I'm only using dark green permanent right now. I'm not grabbing the light green or the white at this point. So just dark green permanent. Start from that line, press kind of firm, and drag each pine needle. So you can see how the angle brush is kind of helpful in this step. You could do it with a round brush. You could also do it with a flat brush. I like how easy it is to use the angle brush. It also helps get that nice thin point at the end of each of the pine needles. So I'm leaving some gaps in there, and that was done on purpose because I know that I'm going to use another green. So I don't want to fill this up completely with the dark green, because I am going to move to to the light green. So I did the pine needles. They're all facing the same direction all the way across. And this one is the opposite way. So I switched my angle. So now the top part of the angle is facing the right. And I'm painting right to left. So same thing, leaving some gaps, pressing firm and holding it lighter as you let the stroke go to a tip. And then we're going to do the light green permanent. I didn't even rinse my brush. You can, but I did not. I like how the dark on there is mixing with that light green permanent. So same thing. I'm going to kind of fill in these gaps with that light green permanent. And it is okay to overlap the dark green. So some of these needles are overlapping. So we got some good color variation in our pine needle branch. Okay, and I'm going to do the same thing on the bottom. Same stroke, same technique. Let the green, the light green overlap the dark green. Okay, and titanium white, not rinsing my brush. Dragged it out just a little bit on the palette there. Now, I'm only going to do a white, not going to do as much white as I did the green, but the white is going to blend with the green. I'm still doing the same stroke. I'm still overlapping, but it's making it look like maybe there's snow on the branch, or maybe that branch has some highlight. Whatever it is, I think it makes a very pretty effect with the white. If you don't like the white, you don't have to do the white. So it's up to you. So when you are done with the branches, I'm about to be done with that. You want this to dry completely before you move on to drawing the ornaments, so you don't have to worry about getting your hand on the green, and you especially want that, make sure that background is dry all the way. You're going to need to go look for some circles. I'm going to draw these ornaments with chalk, and the camera is going to tilt here, and this was a little bug in my recording, so just bear with me here, and I promise that the camera is going to flip in like 10 seconds from now, so don't freak out. But I'm drawing the ornaments with chalk first, and I'm using the found circles around my house to kind of place these circles where I think the ornaments would look best. And of course you can copy exactly where I'm placing my ornaments. And then, so this was kind of a, I think it's like a 5-inch circle. There we go. And some of the ornaments I am free-handed drawing. So if you see the one on the left, it's like a big teardrop shape. And then the one on the bottom middle is kind of a bumpy teardrop sort of shape. And then the other circles, I think this is like a 3-inch circle. And then this is actually a bottle cap, a baby bottle cap. And I think it's about 1.5 inches or 2-inch circle. And so I'm playing around with the different placements. I want to get some balance in this painting, a variety of shapes and sizes. And that one I end up making larger. So you can do the same. You can play around with the positions and have some closer to the branches, some kind of more further down. This one I'm going to make a teardrop shape, kind of a rounded with a point on the bottom. And then you can get super creative here and look up different shapes of ornaments too. And for the strings, this is really helpful. I'm using my T-square ruler to draw these strings, and I am notorious for not painting perpendicularly. You can not draw the strings with the chalk, you can just paint them in when that step comes up, but I found it helpful to draw the vertical lines in so they're perpendicular with the canvas, and so I didn't have to like worry about getting the strings being crooked. So it's up to you. Okay, and then the beauty of drawing this all out with chalk first is that it will erase easily with water. You just stick your finger in your cup of water, clean water, and it'll erase. So I'm going to erase that circle and make it bigger. Okay, so I am okay with how these ornaments look, and then I'm going to white them out. It's kind of tempting to want to paint them in, but it's best to paint the white first. So I'm using a number 4 bright brush. You can use any brush for this stuff, whatever you feel comfortable with. Obviously like a larger brush for the larger areas, and you can switch to a smaller round brush to get in some of these small detailed shapes, like where it comes to a point. So you want to fill everything in with white and let it dry before you paint the colored ornaments in. By doing the white, and you probably know this already because I white out a lot of things when I do paintings, it allows the color that you're going to paint over the background to be its brightest. So if I just did red with no white underneath, the red might be kind of translucent and you may see through the color. Unless you're using like a super opaque color, which I'm not. I think the aqua green might be kind of opaque, but the red is not opaque, and neither is the purple. So doing the white layer first gives you the best results to get these colors to be nice and bright and stand out and pop in your painting. I kind of overpainted that bottom one. It would have been best to use a smaller round brush. So now fast forward to the point where that white is dry, and you want to make sure that it is completely dry, because what will happen is that white will mix in with your colors, and it may look cool, but it also may not be the greatest because it'll start clumping up with your colors if it's like half dry and half wet. So next I'm going to paint my ornaments in their colors. So this one is Dioxazine Purple. Of course you can customize your colors, you don't have to copy me, and of course you're always welcome to copy me. So Dioxazine Purple, I selected a lot of jewel tones so that they will stand out and be bright and pretty and whimsical. And then I grabbed that round brush to get that little tip on the bottom. The next color I used is bright aqua green, so rinsed off that number 4 bright brush and applied it with the bright aqua green, and I'm going to paint this circle in. So super easy, just paint all your shapes in the color of the ornament. This ornament is Cadmium Red Medium. Phthalo Blue for 2 of the ornaments, so the one on the bottom and the one in the upper right hand corner. And then if you noticed, I grabbed the white to do the highlight before that blue dried. So you can do that, or you can wait for the blue to dry all the way and then do the highlight. Alizaron Crimson Hue Permanent is the final ornament on the lower right. So for the designs, actually no designs yet. We're gonna do the tops of the ornaments. I'm using the number 4 round brush and mixing white and black together to make gray to do the little top and hook of the ornaments. So I did a little oval shape just above the ornament. So I'm gonna do that to all the ornaments. So I'm painting like a little, it's almost like a circle, more of a circle than an oval. So you can do different shapes too. You can do like a trapezoid shape, but I did this shape. And it's just right on top of each of the ornaments. And then I'm gonna make it overlap the bottom just a bit to make it look like it is attached to each of the ornaments. And then I know that's covering it up right there. I'm painting like a little hook on top of that circle shape that I painted. So paint like a little open hook with the round brush. And then of course the ones that are like right up there on the branch, you won't see very much. Okay, then I didn't even rinse my brush, and I'm gonna do the black. So those chalk lines are still there, and they are super helpful right now because I don't have to worry about being perpendicular here. And I'm just gonna paint dots all the way from the hook to the branch of the tree. So this is Mars Black. That's what I'm dipping my brush in, the Mars Black. Okay, so little dots from the hook all the way to the branch. And then notice how I left a gap in between each of the black dots. I'm actually going to do white dots in between the black dots. Okay, and there's like maybe 2 dots for these ones that are right up there touching the branches, but they're still there. Okay, and then I did not rinse my brush. I grabbed the white, and so it's going to make this kind of gray color. Up to you if you like that effect, or you can completely rinse your brush and you can have it be completely white. The white may not show up that great, but this one actually, it was okay with the black and the white on the brush. So I'm filling in the little gap areas with the little dots. Okay, then rinse your brush off all the way. Super speed fast forward there. There's got a little highlight on the top part of the that gray thing, that gray circle we painted. And this is actually a 10-0 liner, so a thinner brush. I know that's covering up right there, but there it is. The highlight on the left side. So all these tiny details here. Then I'm going to do the bows. This is back to a number 4 round brush. It's got a little bit more control than that little tiny 10-0 brush. So I'm using the number 4 round, and I'm going to paint the bows with the Mars Black. So I'm just going to paint these in. Little loops, spirals. I'm actually watering down that black just slightly to get it to flow better. And what I do when I water down the paint slightly is dip my brush in water and then let it blend in with the paint on my palette. Okay, so I did a couple different bows here. This one's going to be the triangle shaped bow. Of course, you can come up with some creative designs too here. So each of the ornaments gets a bow right there above the hook. Lots of spirals. And then I rinsed my brush off all the way, grabbed my 10-0 liner, and I'm going to do some little white polka dots on this bow here. And then I'm also going to use the white to do some highlighting on some of the bows. Completely optional if you don't like that detail. So with the 10-0 liner, I'm just going to paint over the shape, and it's just going to give the black part of the bow a little bit of white. For the designs, you want to make sure those colors are dry, otherwise that white will mix in with that color. So it is completely dry, and I'm using a number 4 round brush right now to paint titanium white polka dots on this far left ornament. I did all my designs with just white. I thought about doing other colors, possibly black in some areas, but I kept it consistent with all white. And then this ornament I did some crisscross. The diagonal lines are kind of curved, going in opposite directions here. And then of course you can come up with your own patterns and designs. And I'm using the number 4 round brush for all of the patterns here in all of the ornaments. For the next step, I'm using a 10-0 liner to paint the little star asterisks in the background. So that very tiny round brush with just the titanium white. And it doesn't show up that great on the lighter areas, but it will show up on the areas that are darker towards the bottom and top. And then the final step is to paint a highlight on the ornaments. So in just a second, I'm going to grab a 1/4 inch angle brush. So I'm going to grab a 1/4 inch angle brush and I'm going to dry it out because I want to dry brush these highlight lines. So completely dry it with a paper towel. Not being very nice to this brush, but I want to make sure it's dry. Dry it on my arm. Load it with titanium white. You can even get your paper towel and dry it some more after you load it. That kind of helps to do the dry brush, and paint a stroke for the highlight. So you can see the dry brush effect gets it so it looks translucent. So we don't want to cover the patterns up, we still want to see it, but we want to make it look like that little highlight line is on the top of the ornament, so it has a glare. So this painting has come to its conclusion. Thank you so much for watching. Super fun, super easy design. Thank you for watching.